All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're looking at something I think you'll find pretty interesting. Starting a security company in South Africa. We found this great article on nwr.co.za, How to Start a Security Company in South Africa.
Hmm.
It is seriously packed with info. Have you ever thought about what it actually takes to run a security company? I mean, really, the ins and outs. Well, we're about to find out.
You know what really jumps out from this article is how big the security industry is in South Africa. Like, it's booming. And you can really see how it's directly tied to, well, the high crime rates. People want to protect themselves, their homes, their businesses. It's understandable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The article actually says that the private security industry is one of the fastest growing sectors in South Africa. It makes sense. If you don't feel safe, you're going to want some protection. But it's not just about having a guard at a gate anymore, is it?
No, not at all. The range of security services is pretty amazing. We're talking manned guarding, access control, event security, mobile patrols, alarm monitoring, CCTV solutions. It's a whole world.
I was really interested in the bit about event security. I hadn't really thought about that before, but of course it makes sense. More concerts, conferences, public gatherings. You need those specialized security teams to manage crowds and handle any issues.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of finding a niche. Like, event security needs a different set of skills than, say, residential security. So when you're thinking about starting a company, this kind of market analysis is so important. It's not just about providing security, it's about knowing where you fit in.
Okay, so let's say you've done your research, you know the market, and you're ready to go. Where do you even begin?
Well, like any business in South Africa, you need to register the company. The article talks about the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, CIPC. That's your first step.
But then it gets a little more specific. There's this second layer of registration that's just for the security industry, with the private security industry regulatory authority, PSiRA.
Right. Think of PSiRA as the watchdog. They make sure everyone's playing by the rules, meeting standards, and this is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, okay, tell me more. This is where it feels like we're entering a whole new world.
Yeah, so it's not just about registering the company. You, as the owner or manager, need individual registration with PSR too. Imagine background checks, training requirements. It shows how seriously they take security, the level of responsibility they expect.
Wow, okay, so your company's registered, you're in the system, now what? You need to decide what kind of security company you're going to be, right?
Right. That's where that market research comes in. You're going to focus on residential, commercial, maybe that event security niche we talked about. Understanding the market, who you want as clients, that's key for your business plan.
Okay, let's talk about business plans. The article mentions them, but they can be a little dry. What makes a business plan for a security company different?
That's a great question. In the security world, your business plan needs to show that you really get the risks and challenges in South Africa. Like, your market analysis should look at crime trends, not just demographics.
So almost like a risk assessment for your own business plan.
Exactly. And your financial projections need to include things like insurance, liability, and staff training. Training is huge in this industry.
Speaking of staff, the article mentions this security grading system, grade E to grade A. It caught my eye. It's almost like a video game. You start as a rookie and level up.
It is a bit like that. But it's serious business. Those grades have very specific responsibilities and training attached to them. Grade E might be basic patrols, while grade A is more management level.
So you don't just decide what services your company offers, but also the level of expertise for each person within the company. That's really interesting.
Absolutely. It shows how seriously South Africa takes the security industry. Individual skills and company professionalism, it's all part of the framework.
All right, so we've got the initial setup, defining services, but I know there's a whole other side to running a business, especially a security company, the legal side of things, right?
Yeah, that's where it can get complicated, but it's so important to understand and follow the rules from the start. It's about building a legitimate and trustworthy business.
So let's dive into those legal and compliance must-knows, shall we? Taxes are always a good place to start.
Yeah, can't get away from those, even in the security business. The article talks about registering for employer tax with SARS, South African Revenue Service.
It's not just income tax, right? You've got those UIF contributions too.
Right, unemployment insurance fund. That's a safety net for your employees if they lose their job or go on maternity leave. It's the law, but it's also just good practice.
Now here's something I hadn't thought of. A letter of good standing from COID.
Ah, yes, COID. Compensation for occupational injuries and diseases. Imagine one of your guards gets hurt on the job. Having COID means they're covered, and it protects you, too. Shows your clients that you're serious about safety.
Oh, that's a great point. It's not just about checking a box. It's about building trust, showing potential clients that you're running a responsible company. Okay, so taxes, workers' comp, what about VAT?
Well, VAT registration comes in if you're making over R1 million a year. But even if you're below that, some clients might require it or some industry standards. You'll want to look into the pros and cons based on your business model.
All right, let's talk BBBE. I know this acronym gets thrown around a lot, but for someone new to business, can you break it down?
Sure, BBBEE stands for Black Economic Empowerment. It's all about making sure everyone has a fair shot in the business world. In South Africa, it's not just a good idea, it's the law.
The article says that BBBEE compliance is really important in the security industry, especially if you're going for government contracts.
Right. It's about actively contributing to economic transformation, creating opportunities. Showing your commitment to BBBE can be a big advantage.
So how do you actually get BBBE certified?
Depends on your company size. If you're making less than R10 million a year, you can self-assess and get an affidavit. But if you're earning more, you'll need a formal verification from an agency to get a certificate.
So it sounds like BBBE is something to think about from the beginning, during the business planning stage.
Exactly. It's not just about compliance. It's about showing potential clients that you're aligned with South Africa's economic goals.
Okay, so we've made it through the legal maze. You got your registrations, paperwork sorted, you understand BBBE. Now what? Time to actually set up shop.
Yep, that's right. Moving from the legal stuff to the practicalities of running your security company, this is where your vision starts to take shape.
Okay, so we've got our business plan. We found a location. The team's ready. Everyone's trained. Now what? Just kind of unlock the doors and hope clients show up.
Not quite. You've built the foundation, but now you need to get noticed. Attracting clients in the security industry, it's a whole marketing game.
Okay, so marketing. The article talked about branding, but what does that even mean for security? It's not like we're selling clothes or gadgets or something.
True, it's different. In security, your brand is about trust, reliability, professionalism. You're selling peace of mind, and that's a big deal.
So how do you build that trust? How do you stand out when there are so many security companies out there?
It starts with visuals. Your logo, your colors, even the uniforms. They need to project that image of, well, competent.
Yeah. Like those security guards you see at fancy events. Just looking sharp, you know they mean business.
Exactly. You want to say, we're serious, we take security seriously, you can trust us to protect you.
Okay, visuals, I get it. But what about the message? How do you actually tell people you're trustworthy and reliable?
That's where your online presence is key. These days, you need a website, a professional one. It's often the first impression, so it's got to be good.
What should be on a security company website? Like, what are the essentials?
Definitely a clear outline of your services, what you specialize in, what makes you different. Client testimonials are great too. It's social proof, seeing that others trust you.
Oh, and case studies. Show, don't just tell. Real-world examples of how you've helped people.
Absolutely. And of course, SEO, can't forget that. Search engine optimization. Got to make sure people can actually find you online.
All right, got to speak the internet's language. But it's not just a website, is it? Social media matters too, right?
Huge. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, they're powerful tools.
So how do you use them for a security company? Just post about your services. We do this, we do that.
It's good to mention your services, but it's got to be more than that. Share safety tips, talk about local crime trends, give people a glimpse behind the scenes, humanize your brand.
I like that. Provide value, show you're an expert, not just trying to sell all the time.
Exactly. And by being active, you're staying on people's minds. When they need security, they'll think of you.
Okay, branding's good, website's sharp, social media's on point. What about just like networking? Does that still matter in the digital world?
Definitely. Building relationships is huge in any business, especially security. Get out there, attend events, join associations, be part of your community.
The article mentioned SASA, the Security Association of South Africa. Is that a good one to join?
SASA is very reputable. They have great resources and networking opportunities. Joining those kinds of organizations, it can open a lot of doors.
Right, making those connections, showing you're a serious player.
And word of mouth marketing, don't underestimate that. Happy clients are your best ads. Treat them right. Go the extra mile. They'll spread the word.
Okay, let's be real for a second. We've talked about all this great stuff, but the security market, especially in South Africa, it's got to be competitive. How do you actually stand out? Convince clients to choose you over all the others.
You're absolutely right. It's tough out there. But that doesn't mean you can't succeed. It's about finding your unique strengths and making sure people know about them.
So what are some strategies for a crowded market? How do you make yourself different?
First, you need to know exactly who you're targeting. Residential clients, commercial, a niche like event security. You can't be everything to everyone, so focus is key.
Yeah, find your people, the ones who really need what you offer.
Exactly. And once you know who they are, tailor your message to them.
Okay, got it, target audience. But then how do you actually convince them that you're the best choice?
That's where you highlight what makes you stand out. Do you have special expertise, unique solutions, a reputation for amazing service?
Find your edge, that thing that makes you different.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to get creative with your marketing. Offer something special. Run a campaign that grabs attention. Think outside the box.
I like that. Get creative.
Exactly. And remember, building a security company takes time and dedication. It's not a quick win, it's a long game.
Let's talk about the reality for a minute. Starting a security company, especially in South Africa, it's not without risks, right? What are some things that could go wrong, and how can you protect yourself?
That's a really important point. Every business has risks, but in security, the stakes are higher. You're dealing with people's safety, their security.
So what are some of the biggest risks for a new security company?
One of the big ones is liability. If something happens, like a break-in or an assault or a security breach, your company could be held responsible.
Makes sense. You're protecting people's property, their businesses, sometimes even their lives.
Exactly. That's why insurance is so crucial. General liability, professional indemnity, you need those safeguards in place.
Insurance. Got it. What else can you do to manage those risks?
Vetting and training your staff. That's essential. These are the people interacting with your clients, representing your company. You need to know they're trustworthy, competent, able to handle the job.
Right. A bad hire could really damage your reputation, not to mention put your clients at risk.
Absolutely. Background checks, thorough interviews, ongoing training. It's not just a cost, it's an investment in protecting yourself.
Okay, so liability, hiring the right people. What other risks should you be thinking about?
Staying ahead of the game, that's a big one. The security industry is always changing, new technology, new threats. Client expectations are always going up.
It's not enough to just do things the way they've always been done. You got to be innovative.
Exactly. You have to be proactive, embrace new tech, constantly be learning.
You know, earlier you asked me about innovative security solutions for the next 5 years. I'm still thinking about that one. What are your thoughts?
What really excites me is the combination of security and tech. We're already seeing AI-powered surveillance, drone patrols, predictive analytics, using data to stop crime before it happens.
It sounds futuristic, but it also makes sense technology can really change the game.
Right, and as that tech gets even better and more affordable, it's only going to get bigger. Imagine systems that can recognize faces, spot unusual activity, even react to threats automatically.
Wow, that's both amazing and a little scary. But it shows how important it is to stay ahead of the curve.
Couldn't agree more. Innovation and learning, those are key to success in this industry.
All right, so for our listener who's thinking seriously about starting a security company, what's the one piece of advice you'd give them as they start this journey?
Honestly, I'd say focus on your team. Your people, they are your company. They're the ones out there working with clients, keeping everyone safe. Invest in their training, their well-being, their growth. A strong, motivated team is your biggest advantage.
It always comes back to people, doesn't it? Tech is great, systems are important, but without the right people, it doesn't work.
So true. And remember, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. There will be tough times, challenges, moments where you doubt yourself. But if you're passionate about security and you're willing to put in the effort, it can be so rewarding. You're making a difference, keeping people safe. It's meaningful work.
That's a great point to end on. So that wraps up our deep dive into starting a security company in South Africa. We covered a lot, legal stuff, setting up operations, marketing, the challenges, the opportunities. Hopefully our listener is feeling ready to take that next step.
It's been a great conversation. I hope our listener is feeling inspired to join the South African security world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep.